Hi, I've been trying to figure out how to present this for probably close to 2 hours, and I've Googled and I've looked things up, um, and I'm just not really having any luck figuring out how to present this. And unfortunately, I procrastinated. I've been kind of going through a little bit of some stuff, and I put school on the back burner, but I'm trying to finish this semester strong. And I understand that I don't get peer reviews on this, but I still wanted to at least put the effort in to creating this presentation and presenting it. With that, I am not sure that I know for certain that I'm not presenting this properly. I couldn't figure out how to screen share and record at the same time. So I was just gonna kind of record myself going through each slide that I made, and then upload the presentation, separately. So let's get into it. Today I'll be discussing the Happiness Lab podcast episode, The Unhappy Millionaire. This episode explores the idea that although many people believe money leads to happiness, research shows that wealth alone cannot provide lasting happiness. I am a firm believer in money doesn't buy happiness, and I found that I really related to this podcast on some levels. For my next slide, the main theme of this episode is that money does not automatically make people happy. Society often teaches us that wealth equals success, but the podcast explains that happiness depends on much more than financial success. With that, I think happiness depends on quite a bit of outside factors. I think happiness often stems from who you are as a person, and less of the things that you have, materialistic things that you have. So more of the person you are, the people you surround yourself with, and that sort of thing. For my next slide, I said Dr. Santos explains the concept of hedonic adaptation, which means we naturally adjust to positive changes. A new car, a raise, or becoming wealthy feels exciting at first, but eventually it becomes normal and no longer provides the same level of happiness that was once experienced. For slide 4, the podcast shares stories about millionaires who believed becoming rich would solve all of their problems. Said many found themselves feeling lonely or constantly comparing themselves to people who had even more wealth. One person that I can think of particularly is Billy Bob Harrell Jr., who won $31 million and then tragically, less than 2 years later, killed himself because he learned very quickly that the money he had and the money that he won in the lottery did not, satisfy his internal needs, and he became very depressed. For slide 5, instead of focusing on earning more money, the podcast encourages people to invest in friendships, family, experiences, and acts of kindness. These have a much greater impact on long-term happiness. In slide 6, I wrote, working in EMS has shown me that money cannot protect people from life's challenges. Some of the happiest patients I've met have had very little financially, but have had strong family support and meaningful relationships. One person I think of was this elderly gentleman that I took care of, who I always like to ask what the secret is when I have patients who are married for 10, 15, 20, upwards of 40 or 50 years. And this gentleman said that patience was the key to a happy and healthy marriage, and that he felt rich in life because he had married the love of his life, and they had beautiful children and grandchildren, and not everybody gets that. And so I think that just really stuck with me. Personally, I haven't really been set up for success from a family dynamic, but I think that right now I am truly happy with my life. I have a career. I'm only 23 years old. I'm going back to school full time. I'm in a very happy and healthy relationship. I have a great family dynamic, I guess, now. My dad and I are very close, and that's newer to us. And I just have the best group of friends. In slide 7, this episode connects to communication because our self-concept develops through our experiences and interactions with others. Social comparison can make people feel unsuccessful even when they're doing well. I have found myself often comparing myself to other people. Like I said, I'm 23 years old, so it's kind of hard not to sometimes. Especially because a lot of people I went to school with are married or having kids or buying houses, and I haven't done any of those things yet, but I think that that's kind of where the negative side of things comes into play, because sometimes I feel like I'm behind because I haven't done those things, when in reality there's not a lot of 23-year-olds with a career, and although this isn't my forever career, it is a career that I have right now, and that's more than other people can say that they have. So I'm very fortunate. For slide 8, the biggest lesson from this episode is that happiness comes from how we live our lives and the people we share them with, not simply from how much money we earn. I've been really trying to take a step back from work and, focusing on enjoying my summer with my friends and my boyfriend, and just going on little day trips and going on the boat, and just prioritizing myself over being at work, because I do find happiness in my job. I take care of people for my whole shift. If we get a call, I'm taking care of someone on their worst day. But sometimes I get lost in that, and I feel like I am having a bad day and still obviously expected to take care of someone on their worst day. So prioritizing myself kind of offsets that a little bit. Finally, I have just a few discussion questions. The first one is, do you think society places too much value on money? The second question is, what brings you the most happiness in your own life? And the third is, how can we avoid comparing ourselves to others? These questions encourage us to think about our own beliefs about happiness and whether we focus on things that truly improve our well-being. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. I'm sorry that it was a little chaotic. I have, like I said, been trying to do this for a couple hours, so my brain is just a little bit tired. But